Nordisk samarbejde.
Pohjoismainen yhteistyö.
Norrönt samstarf.
Nordisk samarbete. Nordiskt samarbete.
On 4th of June, the embassies of Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway and Sweden in Belgrade celebrated Nordic Day. The event began with the seminar, Stronger Together, Nordic Cooperation and Innovation, a relevance to the Western Balkans, focusing on Nordic cooperation as a model that has developed from centuries of shifting governance, alliances and rivalries to now 200 years of intra-Nordic peace. Elisabeth Nauclair, first female member of parliament for the autonomous region of Åland in the Parliament of Finland, was one of the guests to explain the concept of Nordic cooperation.
Well, first of all, I'm very careful with giving advices to this region because, of course, the people here know best for themselves. And secondly, I would claim that there are no models. The Nordic cooperation is an example, and you can be inspired by it in very many ways, because we've been down the road before. We've had wars, we've had civil wars, we have moved the borders, and the civil war in Finland was something that we had to overcome. A civil war is very difficult to overcome, and we had to overcome this. And we've had, of course, the Second World War, etc.
She also spoke about the implementation of the Nordic model of cooperation in the Western Balkans.
You can be inspired by the way that we have solved the questions, and we started the formal cooperation in the beginning of the 1950s. And this has been very important, but it is the informal cooperation that is the most important, and the informal has today led to the business cooperation that is something I would say extraordinary and something new.
Johan Tiedemann, senior advisor at the Öresund Committee, spoke about the importance of the Öresund Bridge, which connects Malmö to Copenhagen, and gave his opinion on how to bridge the cultural and historical differences in the Balkan region following the Nordic example.
That is a really huge question, but I would say that you have to remember that especially Sweden and Denmark, we have been fighting wars for centuries. Finally we realized it's much better to cooperate and to work together, I would say trust is a key word for understanding Nordic cooperation.
The guest from Sweden, Fredrik Herén, spoke about innovation and why innovation is the common denominator of all Nordic countries, especially in the sphere of creative business.
I think the reason is that we are not so stuck up on ourselves. So we are not so stuck in our national identity. We're open to other cultures. For example, we look at food. We will eat Swedish food, but we will also eat Japanese food, we will eat Thai food, we will eat Italian. So we're very open for other kinds of ideas from other people. We're not so stuck up on ourselves. So that's a main reason.
He also shared his views about innovation in developing countries, such as Serbia and the rest of the Balkan region.
I've been studying this quite a lot. I actually even wrote a book about it called The Developing World. I went to 18 different developing countries and I studied it. And I argue in this book that people who come from developing countries are better positioned to be creative, because when you define yourself as developed, the word developed means done. Right? But if you choose to be a developing country or a developing person, you are not done yet. You are constantly developing yourself. So it's a good thing to be a developing country. I hope you never become a developed country. That's the worst thing that can ever happen to a country, is that you think that you are done.
In the panel discussion titled Nordic Investors in Serbia on Innovation, 4 companies from the Nordic countries, Ericsson, Tikkurila Zorka, Telenor and Grundfos, presented the innovative aspects of their work. With reference to the region in which they are operating, they presented ways of how to facilitate foreign investments by improving regional cooperation. The ambassadors of the Nordic countries singled out the most important areas of the Nordic cooperation.
The maintenance of our social model, which means strong public sector, well-financed, not corrupt.
Well, it's impossible to single out one certain issue, but it's the cooperation as such which is securing all of us together better competitiveness and better welfare, and the welfare state that we all have achieved and continue to have it.
I would say that it's the Nordic Passport Union, for the simple reason that it has facilitated the free movement of people and the free movement of labor. And by bringing people closer together, you also create better understanding for different cultures, different traditions, and that in turn is also important for building peace and a stable cooperation among nations.
I think what has been most important for most people has been the free labor market. That means that today there are several 100,000 Nordics who work in another Nordic country. And because the economic structures of our countries are slightly different, it means that sometimes when the situation is difficult in your own country, you can go to another country. So it's both been very helpful to the citizens and to the countries themselves.
There are so many to choose from, but I would say right at the moment, labor, that is to say the possibility to seek employment, and secondly, education.
The celebration continued with the reception for the guests of the Nordic embassies that had the opportunity to enjoy the organized program and Nordic cuisine. The event was supported by 36 Nordic companies that do business in Serbia. The Nordic model of cooperation can be an inspiration to others in all fields. The road to this kind of regional cooperation might be challenging, but the Nordic example shows that it can be worth it.